Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Look, we all know life is short, right? But honestly, if we're being real, most of us walk around acting like we've got this infinite supply of time just sitting in the bank. Today, we're completely tearing that illusion down. Think of This Explainer as your ultimate wake-up call, literally a cheat code for the game of life. We're going to break down how time actually works and figure out how to stop just managing your days and actually start living them. All right, let's dive straight in with a pretty massive truth bomb. 30,000. That is the average number of days a human being lives on this earth. Just 30,000? When you hear it like that, as a finite number, it kind of shatters that cozy illusion of having all the time in the world, doesn't it? And if we break down the math, it gets even more real. If you happen to be 30 years old right now, well, 11,000 of those days, they're already gone, used up. They are never coming back. You've got about 19,000 days left in the tank. I know. It's a bit of a gut punch, but it is absolutely necessary. It cures us of literally the most dangerous word in the English language, someday. We have to shift from just waiting around to actually building.
So, let's kick things off with part 1, the time perception trap.
Have you ever wondered why childhood summers felt like they dragged on forever, but adult years just fly by in a total blur? Well, it's actually called time blindness. See, your brain measures time by recording new experiences. When you're a kid, literally everything is brand new, so your brain hits the record button constantly. But as an adult, it's the same commute, same breakfast, same daily routine. Your brain basically goes, yeah, nothing new here, and skips recording entirely. So to hack this, you have to literally force new experiences. Take a weird route to work, talk to a stranger. Force your brain to actually pay attention again, and time will literally feel like it's expanding.
Of course, having more time doesn't really mean much if you're focusing on the wrong things. Enter the to-list strategy. Here's how it works. Write down absolutely everything you want to achieve, circle your top 3, and, here's the kicker, ruthlessly avoid the rest. Like, they become your avoid-at-all-costs list. If you're struggling to narrow it down, just use the deathbed test. Imagine you're 90 years old, looking back on everything. Are you really going to care about that extra hour answering emails, or the time you spent with your friends and family? Suddenly, what actually matters becomes crystal clear.
Moving on to number 2, energy over time management.
This brings us to a massive paradigm shift. We are completely obsessed with managing our time. But you know what? Time management is 100% useless if you're running on an empty battery. We all have these two versions of ourselves. Morning you is an absolute tyrant. Wakes up feeling great, sets crazy goals, and writes these ambitious checks that evening you has to cash. But evening you, totally wiped out, just wants to order takeout and watch Netflix. Your true potential isn't about having a perfectly color-coded calendar, it's all about energy. Sleep isn't just resting, it's the actual superpower that gives evening you the willpower to follow through.
So, you got to actively protect your energy. Here are some total cheat codes to do exactly that. First up, micro-workouts. Stuck on a problem? Just knock out 10 push-ups or take a quick 5-minute walk. Movement creates mental clarity. Second, kill decision fatigue. Every single little choice you make drains your battery. Wear the same clothes, eat the same breakfast. Save your brain power for the heavy lifting. And third, this is my absolute favorite, practice strategic incompetence. Basically, be deliberately bad at stuff that doesn't matter. If you make terrible office coffee, guess what? People stop asking you to make it, and you save your precious energy for the real work. Which brings us to number 3, redefining wealth and career.
You need to completely throw away the idea of the corporate ladder. The modern career is a jungle gym, and especially early on, you need to optimize for learning, not just cash. Because honestly, money always follows knowledge. The best way to navigate that jungle gym is through the adjacent possible, that sweet spot located just one step outside your current comfort zone. Moving up isn't the only way to grow. Sometimes moving sideways or even backwards builds a totally unique skill stack that makes you completely irreplaceable. A lot of folks stay in a cushy job just because it feels safe, but career comfort is actually quicksand. The longer you sit in a role you've outgrown, the harder it is to break free.
And understanding this completely changes how we frame actual wealth too. When people make more money, they usually just buy more stuff, right? Bigger house, flashier car, but that usually just buys you a longer commute and more maintenance to worry about. It's classic lifestyle inflation. You're basically just running way faster on the exact same treadmill. True wealth is time affluence. It is honestly better to make a little less money but have 30 hours of free time than to be quote-unquote rich and grinding 80-hour weeks. The secret here? Buy experiences, not objects. Objects depreciate and trap you. Experiences appreciate in your memory, and they build actual tangible freedom.
All right, let's look at number 4, the relationship bank account.
Look, real networking isn't about awkwardly handing out business cards at events. It's about being a connector who plants seeds long, long before you ever need a harvest. Think of your relationships as a literal bank account. Every single interaction you have is either a deposit or a withdrawal. And you simply can't ask for a favor, which is a withdrawal, if you haven't been making deposits first. Small, daily deposits, like sending a random text or remembering a tiny detail about someone, matter way more than grand, one-off gestures. And notice that point about shared suffering. It sounds completely crazy, but going through a tough challenge with someone actually builds a significantly stronger bond than just partying together.
Next up is number 5, upgrading your mental models. Knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Understanding is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. I love that. See, we so often feel like victims of our own minds, but the science tells a completely different story. The chemicals that create raw emotions, like anger or fear, they only last exactly 90 seconds. So after a minute and a half, if you are still mad, you are actively choosing to stay mad. Emotional regulation is a total superpower, and upgrading your mental models changes the game entirely. There's a massive difference between just collecting facts and collecting patterns. Most people just collect facts. They're basically playing checkers. Smart people collect patterns and play chess, using second-order thinking. They don't just ask, what happens next? They pause and ask, okay, but what happens after what happens next?
And a huge part of those mental models is understanding how creativity actually works. It's exactly like a faucet in an old house. Think about it. When you first turn it on, what happens? Rusty, gross water comes spitting out. Those are your bad ideas. You have to push through that rusty water to finally get to the clean stuff. But so many people try to create something and judge it at the exact same time. That's literally like driving with one foot parked entirely on the brake. You've got to embrace the bad ideas, use your constraints to your advantage, and just let the faucet run until the water is completely clear.
Finally, we arrive at number 6, designing your best life.
So, bringing all of this together, life isn't just something that happens to you while you're waiting around for things to get good. It's a portfolio of experiences that you have to actively experiment with and design. Let's look at how that actually plays out on a timeline. Most people massively overvalue perfect planning and completely undervalue just testing things out. You simply can't think your way into the right life. You gotta test your way there. On day 1, don't try to flip your whole life upside down. Just change one thing for 5 minutes. Build up that momentum. By day 30, do a quick monthly life review. Ask yourself, what's working? What totally sucks right now? Catching those tiny little misalignments early stops them from snowballing into massive yearly regrets. And if you stick with it, by year 1, the compound results are just unreal.
So, I'm going to leave you with this one question. Which 5 minutes are you going to change today? Not tomorrow, not next week, and definitely not someday. Because time is going to pass whether you use it or not. Your habits become your days turn into your years, and those years become your life. The absolute best time to start living fully isn't someday, it's today. Get out there and architect your life. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.